Welcome to Cultural Entropy. I just finished 2006 Sharp Objects by Gillian Flynn. She's the writer of Gone Girl. I've had this book since 2012, and I finally got around. This like another one that I finally got around and said I'm going to finish off. I got like 20 pages into it back in 2012 and was like, it's not good. The book is not good. That's the bottom line of the review. If you're interested, it did finish strong enough that I will be probably picking up Dark Places, which is the 2009 book. To give a little backstory behind this, one of my friend's wives recommended Gone Girl back in like 2011, 2012, and I picked it up, and it is honestly a very good book. I would say it's up there. Close to, if not in the category of, it will be looked upon very highly as a piece of literature in the future. It's not just purely trash. One of the things that I did like when I got done with it that I hadn't actually thought about was the fact that it is from the perspective of a woman. And some of the issues that I had with Gone Girl back in 2012, some of the same problems with Sharp Objects. I wouldn't necessarily think of a book from being from a woman's perspective. I'm currently reading Atlas Shrugs by Ayn Rand right now, and I wouldn't necessarily say that book is feminine in any particular way. So like very of its time. Um, the idea is that it gave me a better appreciation in Gone Girl, realizing that I was seeing someone else's perspective. And in the case of Sharp Objects, it has that same tone by Gillian Flynn. She's not untalented as a writer. Um, it's been a while since I read Gone Girl. It's not one of those books I would ever like go back and read. It's not exactly my cup of tea. I do think it's a very good book. In the case of Sharp Objects, like part of the problem with the book, it's only 250 pages. Besides it being predictable, it takes a long time to get into where it's going. About 60 pages is when we actually get the character introduction that we probably should have gotten in the first chapter, and that really damages the book. Spoilers again, if you don't like those type of thing, I don't know what you're looking for. Uh, the idea that the character is damaged and she cuts herself. And at that point, she becomes relatable and sympathetic. And those are things that you need to draw the audience in and get invested in the story through the avatar of the character. And whatever reason, Gillian Flynn decided to wait until page 60. The first, you know, 60 pages before that, it's very boring. It's very bland. The main uh premise of the story is a 30-year-old woman gets sent back to her hometown to investigate a murder that could be a serial killer. And again, like that in and of itself was enough to go, hey, that might be an interesting book. I'll go read it after I enjoyed Gone Girl. And it really isn't, because we well, I at least felt like I didn't uh relate to the character. I really had a hard time getting into the town. And again, part of that may have been on purpose, because the character herself is feels like an outsider in her hometown. But again, you have to get in the shoes of your character. I'm one of those people like Kurt Vonnegut, like put everything on the table for your audience and let them decide where to go from it. And a lot of stories structurally have that problem of trying to hide things from the audience, and they try and do so not from the point of view of the main character. They try and do from the point of view of the author. I think that's a very poor way to go. And anyway, that's the biggest downside of the first part of the book. It's very slow to get into where it needs to get going, and then it picks up. There are a couple of scenes involving 13-year-olds and the main character that are, or I should even say an 18-year-old, that are very uncomfortable. And again, if a what a piece of art, or in this case literature, is supposed to do, is give you information in and have that translate to feeling inside yourself. Flynn does a very good job. Like I'm not very easy to make uncomfortable, and she was able to make me uncomfortable in a couple places in the story. I don't necessarily think that, like, outside of those two areas, it's necessarily a good book. It was very predictable. There's some real world research stuff that she does on top of the mechanical problems, where you know I don't like plots coming to characters. I like characters going to plots. When you have the plot come to your character, it's a pretty good sign that you need to like redraft again. And that's what she does. There are some contrivances with the character that kind of were drawing me out of the book as I realized what was going on. I was able to kind of guess what the plot was going to be in the first half, and it really did end up going in that direction in the second half. Again, trying not to get any spoilers, but like that was my general idea behind it. If you like Gone Girl, like this is the whole reason why I wanted to read this book, is to see an author's progress, like their process towards getting to the place they need to go. In the case of Gillian Flynn, who hasn't released a book since Gone Girl 2012, because it the pressure of coming back and replicating Gone Girl is probably very difficult. The process that got from Sharp Objects to Dark Places to Gone Girl was probably a lot easier than trying to come back and hit another grand slam. And I wanted to go back and see the process to how she got to Gone Girl. And I didn't think that Gone Girl necessarily had mechanical problems with the story in the way that Sharp Objects did. I don't think that there were actually, thinking back to Gone Girl, I don't, or to Sharp Objects, I don't necessarily think there are problems with uh, some of the other things. Like her prose is fine. Again, it's very feminine. It's very the way she writes, it's very dreamy, which has a lot to do with the character. Um, and to see how she got to shape her craft from this book to Gone Girl, again, the one that I would probably recommend. Again, it depends on who you are. I don't think there's a lot of market for this book. Like the audience for this book is going to be relatively narrow outside of people that want to see how she got to Gone Girl. I don't think anybody's missing anything behind that. And besides putting certain characters in very bad situations and having the audience feel uncomfortable, that that would be my main thing behind the book. But yeah, that's about it for my thoughts on Gillian Flynn's Sharp Objects.